Hello, and welcome to this week's weekly reading. I am strongly bringing in the four elements. So fire, you can see the feathers on this scarf for air. Shell, bringing in the element of water. Black spruce, and also the crystals that I'm using around the place to bring in the element of earth. So this week we have the earthy Virgo new moon on Friday, and we also have Mercury stationing direct on, I believe it's Saturday. So that's also really important to remember for the energetics of this week. Just trying to see if you can see the rainbow that shines in this particular crystal. Smoky quartz, a little bit of extra grounding. And I liked black spruce for today because if we think about planting the new moon seeds in the Virgo new moon, we plant this little seed, but maybe if we tend to it, it will grow into a big old tree. So let's choose a card between 1 and 4 and dive into this week's reading. Remember that it's a collective reading, so not a personal one. I do personal readings if that's something that you would like to have done. And in the meantime, if you connect the number you choose to being the extra pertinent message for you, that'll help to make it a little bit more personalized. Let's dive in. Okay, here is our weekly reading. The whole big picture. Interestingly, we have 2 pages, both upside down. We have a 1 in earth element, 1 in water element, and then we have the fire represented in the wands, and then we have 1 major arcana card, the Hierophant. So not really air represented here particularly, but what we do have is, for me, the pages are actually quite mercurial, because Mercury has this kind of messenger energy, and pages are messenger energies. They're heralds and such. That's exactly what Mercury is. And Mercury has this kind of, in some ways, very young, childlike energy, even though obviously he is eternal in many ways for us. So I do feel like that brings in a little of the air. And remember that one of the symbols for Mercury is the winged sandals and wings on his helmet, on his helm and his sandals. So what's interesting for me with 2 pages being in protection here is the resistance that we're having to receiving the message. And I feel like this really ties in very strongly with some of the stuff that's been coming up in the recent weeks. We seem to have this like rough patch and then a patch of consolidation and then a rough patch and a patch of consolidation. But one of the things that's come up really kind of consistently is it's time to see the signs, or I'm resisting seeing the signs, or let's look at the signs, or I don't want to see the signs, coming backwards and forwards with that particular dynamic. So this week definitely feels like it's oh, please, I don't want to. On the other hand, it could also be partly because we've seen the signs and now we need to just stop and consolidate, digest, process. Virgo is a sign of digestion and editing and sorting. So as we hit this Virgo new moon, if we've been doing the work leading up to it, which is on Friday, we will kind of have this new perspective. Like, these are the things I no longer need to take with me. And if you look at the 10 of Wands, it's like an overburdened journey. It's the end of the cycle in the Wands. And she is on this intense trip. She's clearly at the bottom of a hill that she obviously had to climb up on the other side and come down. She's with an oxen. She's carrying her load. He's carrying an extra load. But she's putting one foot in front of the other. It's like, keep going. You're maybe taking on more than you need. Maybe you've bitten off more than you chewed. Maybe you can chew. Maybe you're carrying with you things that are no longer really serving you. Like, the burden is maybe inherited stuff, or maybe you're carrying too much weight in your job position, maybe in your relationships, wherever that is in your life, that you are taking on more than is necessary. This is that opportunity, especially as it comes, this Page of Pentacles is very earthy. So it's like, why am I not bringing something into manifestation? Why am I not bringing these ideas down to earth? Why can I not get into the next kind of paradigm for me? Because I kind of know where I want to go, but I'm not really making it happen yet. And so we're coming from that space of the page going, oh, I don't know. And also I always find it interesting that in this deck, the Page of Pentacles, if you get it reversed, it's quite similar looking to the Hanged Man. who is upside down and hanging by one foot. And the Hanged Man is very much a card of surrender to the process, you know. So where the Page of Pentacles would want to ideally have these really practical, very Virgoic energy, upside down, it's kind of a little bit more Neptunian and therefore Piscean, which is the other side of Virgo Pisces axis. So it's like, yes, I do need to take practical steps, but also there is an element of surrendering to the journey. And then, of course, we've got this 10 of Wands where she is clearly trudging along on the journey. And for fire, this is not the most fun card. A lot of the fire cards are quite light and playful and joyful and fun and passionate and creative. This one doesn't seem to be that. This one just seems a little bit sort of staid, slow and steady, which is more earthy in many ways. And yet it's to show you that sometimes the passion, sometimes the creativity, sometimes the spark, the new paradigm, sometimes it takes a bit of a trudge. Sometimes you just have to put one foot in front of the other, and as you go, realize I can get rid of these things. We've had this card fairly recently, I'm almost certain as well. In fact, all of these cards have been coming up fairly regularly, I believe. So then, and you can also see that there's the surrender, and the Page of Pentacles is looking back towards the past. And it's like, yes, this is what I've learned. This is where I've come from. And that is part of my paradigm. And that is, you know, I am a sum of my parts kind of thing, but also some of these parts I can now let go of. So then you see the woman on the journey moving away from the Page of Pentacles in the direction of the future, in the direction of something new, even though maybe she doesn't quite know where she's going. Maybe that's why she's actually overpacked, because she just knows she's going on a journey. She doesn't know how long, how far, you know, it's just, I have to move now. I cannot stay stuck where I am. I have to move, even though I don't know where I'm going. And that can be pretty scary. And then she's actually walking right back into an upside down Page of Pentacles. And he is kind of just getting very emotionally entangled. So you can imagine if you were which you are, we all are on some level if you're watching this reading, wherever it is, shall I say, that you are on this journey of discovery that you don't really know how far, how wide, where, when, but you're taking the journey anyway through the fear. You're feeling the fear and doing it anyway. You can imagine that points along that journey, you actually just feel like, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. And you feel completely overwhelmed and over emotional. So that's what happens with us oftentimes in the Page of Cups upside down. And think about it. Cups is water, Pisces is water, Virgo is earth, and Page of Pentacles is earth. So we are really feeling the strong dynamic between the Pisces-Virgo axis. And the last full moon was Pisces supermoon, remember? So here we are again, we're trying to move forward, we're trying to plant seeds, we're trying to do the right thing, we're trying to edit, we're trying to sort, we're trying to get our ducks in a row. And yet there are these bubbles of complete overwhelm, and I want to say not childishness so much as maybe childlike. Because the pages are quite youthful, it's like, I don't know how to grow up through this. I don't know how to do this like a grown-up or in a mature way or in a different, more mature way than the ways that I've done it before. And I feel like that is coming up in both of these pages quite strongly of, I don't know how to adult. I'm sure we all of us who've been adulting for many years who don't really feel like we're adults at the best of times. Like, how does one ever really feel like you're ready to handle all the responsibilities? And pages really represent that for us, whatever our age, you know. They've got this youthful enthusiasm, but also naivety and idealism that sometimes the world has to shake out of us in certain situations in order for that growing up to happen. So it's not the easiest thing to sort of accept. But what I love is that it leads into the 5, the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant is this like wise spiritual teacher or a priest or prophet or whatever, guru. Use whatever language you want. In this one, he kind of looks a bit like a guru, doesn't he? And he's older and wiser, so he has that maturity, and yet he has this joyfulness. I mean, he's just so happy, and it's quite quite that dichotomy of these two young energies going, well, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm feeling a little jaded. I had all these idealistic ideas of how my life would go and all the things the world was my oyster, and now I'm not so sure, and I'm overloaded, overburdened, overwhelmed. And the irony is that if we keep going in the direction that we're meant to going, if we keep listening to the messages, noticing the signs, keep going in the direction that we are being led outside of ourselves by spirit, by source, by God, again, use whatever word feels comfortable for you, getting to that next step is actually very childlike in some ways. The Hierophant is very idealistic. He's that child of God, you might say, where there is just this constant feeling of love and enthusiasm and support, and you can play any game. You can pretend to be an astronaut or a princess in a tower and the prince coming to rescue her. You can be all those things, anything and everything, because there is this eternal grandparent energy, being the cosmos, the universe, God, goddess, whatever you want to say. And you find it when you get into the Hierophant in this reading, saying it might feel scary, but the more that you have faith, the more that you trust. And that brings us back into Pisces in many ways, because Pisces has a lot to do with faith. Whatever your belief system is kind of irrelevant. It's just that you have some level of faith and you trust in a power that is greater than yours, because when it's all on your shoulders, the burden is heavy, The burden is too heavy, and you don't have to carry it alone. So this is a week of finding those idealistic parts of ourselves and helping them to grow up, to realize that that doesn't have to leave them jaded. That doesn't have to leave us to be like sour, bitter, twisted, elderly people. It means that we are able to tap into the joy that is source. I hope this has been helpful, and if you are needing a little extra support, remember to look me up on my link below for any of the offerings that I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here every week, and your comments, support, likes, follows really help me to know that I'm on track. So please keep them coming, and that it is helpful to you is very supportive to keep me doing this work. So thank you very much. Have a beautiful week.